I am just wondering if people generally leave right after the event, sleep overnight, or do something else. It seems like it would be a very awkward situation overall. Story 1. I generally do not mind them staying overnight. Even if I am just looking for casual fun, I am not mean enough to send someone home in the middle of the night. If I had a good time, the least I can do is make them breakfast in the morning. Story 2. Sleep overnight, grab breakfast the next morning, mention we should do this again sometime, and part ways. Story 3. It depends on the situation. Jumping out of bed immediately is frowned upon, but sleeping over depends on where you live, how intoxicated you are, if you drive, and similar factors. Generally, once one person communicates that it is time for one of you to leave, it is over. Story 4. 2 things. First, anytime I have had a one-night stand, I always made sure they understood I was not looking for a long-term relationship before sleeping together to avoid confusion. Second, I always asked her out to breakfast. It seemed like the gentlemanly thing to do. Keeping the mood friendly and lighthearted helps with the awkwardness. 9 times out of 10, they seem to come back for more, and just like that, you added a name to the roster if you ever want to meet again. Story 5. I usually have my assistant give them a gift basket containing my favorite snacks and an autographed baseball in the morning. Story 6. I pull out, wipe myself on the drapes, and thank them for letting me express myself, concluding with call me, let's do lunch, and leave without providing a number. Now, I just had an intimate experience, but one that was clearly not going to be permanent. Kiss, thank you, a compliment, best wishes. If it is someone you may want to see again, say so. Make sure you trade contact information, then call them in a couple of days. Story 7. I have failed miserably at one-night stands. The first one I ended up dating for about a month. The second one I ended up married to for 30 years. I need to work on my exit strategy. Story 8. It all depends. I have left in the middle of the night while they were asleep, and I have stayed until breakfast. Every experience is different. Story 9. I prefer straightforward, respectful honesty and communication. Tact is paramount. I try to go to their house so they have control and feel more comfortable. I also do not like having guests often. If I am at their house, I ask if they want me to stay or leave and explain why I am asking. I just wanted to say I had an amazing experience and hope you did too. I hope we can do it again. Would you like me to stay until morning so we can talk, cuddle, or be intimate again and rest together? Or would you prefer that I leave because you may want your privacy or uninterrupted sleep? I am okay with either. I just want to respect your boundaries. Usually, they want me to stay. A couple of times, they appreciated my willingness to leave because they had an early day tomorrow. I then get dressed, say thank you again, and ask if they want to get together later this week for either a date or another meeting, explaining that I value respecting them. As a man, I do not want to be just a one-time thing. I go for a kiss, a hug, or both, and thank them again, saying I was really glad to have met them. If I have to leave, I explain the reason, such as an early morning or work, so I should head home to rest and prepare. I also explain that I want to respect their privacy. I mention that I enjoyed the experience and ask if they want to meet up again, either for a date or another meeting. Story 10. Usually stay the night, then determine what this was and if they are open to more. 2 or 3 night stands are better than one night stands. Story 11. Honestly, it depends on the person. If it is someone I definitely want to spend time with again and try for morning intimacy or another round, I will stay. If not, I will just say it is time to go and that I had a great time. Setting it up ahead of time is always a good idea so they know you have something in the morning. My dog was a fantastic excuse to leave because I had to take her out. Story 12. I would never ask a woman to leave immediately after intimacy without good reason. Usually, I like to cuddle afterward, so I let her stay until morning. If I have time, I make breakfast and let her stay until she decides to leave on her own. If not, she leaves when I leave for work or errands. Story 13. Every situation is different. For me, we were intimate, fell asleep. She woke up in the middle of the night to leave, and we kissed before she left. Story 14. I have never used Tinder or similar apps. I have met women in public and brought them home. There is usually a conversation beforehand. You can ride with me and sleep over, or we can get something to eat and I will bring you back to your car, or you can drive and decide later. Whatever you prefer. Story 15. I got lucky because the second woman I ever slept with was 10 years older than me and was really into sex and very open about it. I learned a lot from her, and the main thing I learned is that if you find sex awkward in any way, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it. Learning that lesson at 18 made things a lot easier for me as I got older and made me slightly more popular with women. With a one-night stand, I would kiss them and say goodbye the same as I would if I were leaving a girlfriend's house. But I would also try to make it apparent, without saying it outright, that I would easily be open to a 2 or 3 night stand. Story 16. It is difficult to get women to leave my place. If I go over to theirs, I just say I have to let my dog out and leave. Dispose of the condom properly. Story 17. Most of the handful of one-night stands I had when I was younger were understood to be what they were by both myself and the woman. There was no awkwardness involved. Sometimes she or I stayed the night. Sometimes we just said goodbye and left right after. In most cases, I tried to be an open book before anything happened. There was one time I was hanging out at a girl's house, and we had not discussed sleeping together, nor had I expected to, but it ended up happening. She did a lot of strange things that kind of put me off, so I made an excuse and left afterward. I wanted to leave immediately, but didn't want to hurt her feelings, and felt like I had to follow through to the end. That one was awkward, but it was awkward before the activities even ended. In general, I think it is good to make your intentions known. I didn't have many one-night stands, but in cases where I knew going in that's what it would be, I told my partner that was my intention rather than lying or leading her on just to get what I wanted and leave. If a girl wasn't interested in a one-and-done situation, then we could stop before there were any hard feelings. I can't read minds, but in general, they seem to appreciate me being upfront and open rather than lying to them. Story 18. Say the quiet part out loud. No strings attached. Okay? Do not ever assume that there are no strings attached. Story 19. It depends on the people involved and expectations set prior. I had an experience with a woman who took a 1.5-hour train from New York City to stay with me. The next day before leaving, she called it the train of shame. It is a bit crazy that it went down like it did now that I think about it. However, there were no hard feelings. We both understood the situation. Story 20. I say before we leave the bar that I do not do sleepovers. My hookup dates start at bars, and I will head home afterward. We will have sex 2 times, cuddle a bit, and then I will say, okay, I am starting to pass out. I should go. Story 21. Why awkward? Falling asleep together, having breakfast, telling some stories, sharing a good memory. I always loved the aftermath as I enjoyed the night, especially because I wake up early and she gets breakfast in bed. That smile is gold. Story 22. If it is at night and at my place, I generally have no issue with them sleeping over. Breakfast in the morning, then we part ways. If it is their place, I feel it out. I have no issue leaving, but obviously, it feels good to know they want you to stay. Story 23. My friend with benefits, I would just say I have to go run some errands, and he would walk me to my car and wave goodbye. Story 24. It depends on the vibe. If you have work, school, or other commitments the next morning and cannot stay, just say you have to go. If you had fun, say, hey, I would love to play again sometime. If the vibes are good and you have the opportunity, then stay and cuddle. Story 25. Wait for their ride to show up, and as they are walking out, give them a nice Canadian accent. Say, thanks for a good time, you were great. Take care now. Story 26. I don't think there is a right or wrong as long as both parties are consenting and understand what they are engaging in. Just treat each other as human beings. Story 27. I think it depends on the vibe afterward and how much she and I clicked. I have had one-night stands where I leave not long after we finish, but I have also had some where I stay the night and leave the next morning. It really depends on how well she and I were getting along outside of the sex. You can always tell if she wants you to leave or stay. Story 28. I have only ever had one experience, and in the morning I had to lie to her by telling her that I had plans for the day with my 2 older sisters. just so she would get the hint and leave. Story 29. One woman stayed overnight. She had to go to work the next morning and did not want to wear the same clothes as the day before. She did not have time to go home first to change. So, I gave her some of my clothes, and she left. I never saw her or my clothes again. It was too bad because she was nice. Story 30. This has been covered in length by the philosopher Paul Simon. Story 31. You get breakfast in the morning, and I also pack you a goodie bag with a toothbrush and a few other items. Story 32. After things are all wrapped up, you slap your knee, stand up and say, "Well, that was a lot of fun." Then you head for the door. Story 33. If I am hosting and do not want the other person to stay the night, as we are cleaning up, I will offer them a bottle of water for the road. If I do want them to stay, I will say something like, "You are welcome to stay here for the night if you want." If I am at the other person's house as we are cleaning up, I will make an excuse to leave, such as needing to walk my dog or having early plans the next morning. Story 34. Depends on the situation and how much I remember. I know well I may have woken up not knowing where I was and definitely left quickly. Other times I wrote a note so I didn't wake her or left a text if I had her number. I did leave my own apartment once, which was strange. Then I had to sneak back in. If they were at my place, I cook breakfast and hope the sounds and smells wake them up. With my first wife, we had a date from a dating site that turned into 3 days. Every situation is different. Story 35. My favorite was the guy on Instagram or another social media site who gave girls goodie bags after their one-night stand. One item was pregnancy tests. Story 36. Usually tell someone a version of, "Hey, I had a great time," or "Thank you, that was so much fun," or "You really blew my mind." Whatever seems right. One night stand or not, many women want or need some aftercare, an arm around them or making out. I have asked whether they want company or want me to go. If it's at my place, I'll either say I have to wake up early or that if they want to spend the night, we can do this again in the morning. If it's late, I always walk someone to their car or wait until their rideshare picks them up. There is no need to make a person feel cheap, isolated, or discarded. I treat every experience as its own unique experience. You never know when someone wants to make it a 2 or 3 night stand or a friends with benefits arrangement. Story 37. Wait for the girl to urinate, then get dressed. When she comes out, shake her hand and say, "Lovely meeting you," then walk out. Story 38. Well, I have only had a few and usually handle them all the same way. I give them a kiss if they want it, thank them for their time, and leave. Maybe we will have another meeting in the future. Story 39. If I feel she wants me to stay and isn't clingy, I stay. If not, I say goodbye with a smile. Story 40. It kind of just depended on the person. I had one friend with benefits that would come over before work, wash up, and go to work. Generally, though, you stay and cuddle for a while, maybe go another round, then head home. If I was too tired, too drunk, or high, then I would spend the night. Story 41. Wow, the phrase "one night stand" takes me back. I am 47, and I almost never hear that terminology anymore. Typically today, it is just referred to as a hookup. When I hook up with someone, there is no awkward feeling because both parties understand it is just a hookup. There is no need to put any other connections into that whatsoever. When the deed is done, both parties understand that it was just a hookup and go their separate ways. Story 42. I usually stick around and chat for a bit while getting dressed. If they are at my place, they can leave whenever they want. If I am at their house, I usually ask beforehand. That way, I know if they need me out that night or if they want me to stay. Communication is key. I did have one girl over. We were intimate and got dressed. Afterward, she said, "That was fun, but we are not doing that again." I was fine with that, walked her to the door, and she left. I guess she just needed to relieve some stress. Story 43. I tended to have a number of friends with benefits when I was single. I was able to do that by being honest about what I was looking for and not being rude. Before we hooked up, I would be clear that I wasn't looking for a girlfriend. After we hooked up, if it was her place, I'd offer to leave, but I was happy to stay. In the morning, I would offer breakfast, either going out if it was her place or cooking if it was mine. If we were at my place, I would never tell her to leave unless we had talked about it beforehand. There were a couple of times I stayed over at her place, ran to the store in the morning for coffee and donuts, and came back. Usually, I'd say something like, "Hey, you're welcome to stay, and we can grab breakfast in the morning, but I understand if you have to head out because you have things to do." As a result, at one point I had a few different women I could call for sex pretty much whenever I wanted. It was nice. Some of them became friends, and we'd hang out like normal friends, grab dinner, go on a hike, meet at a brewery, with the added bonus of sometimes hooking up. Others were much more strictly sexual. They'd call me after a stressful day at work to see if I was busy. We'd make plans. One of us would go to the other's house and leave shortly after. Story 44. Honestly, in the encounters I have had, it depends. It is all about the vibe you get. I have had some one-night stands that I left right after, some that I stayed the night, followed in the morning with another round and then left, and some where I stayed the night, in the morning had another round, went to breakfast, and then left. It all depends on the vibe you get. I have even had some one-night stands turn into friends with benefit situations because the next day we got some food, ended up hanging out for a while, and became great friends. Story 45. Stay until the conversation becomes forced, whether it is 5 minutes after or an all-nighter. Then, give a simple hug or kiss and say, "Thank you." Story 46. In my younger days, I preferred not to have home field advantage. That way, I could leave before she woke up if I was only interested in her body, not her personality. If she seemed like she had a cool personality beforehand, I would stay for the morning to chat or have some breakfast. Only a handful of times did I leave in the middle of the night, usually for a reason I considered good enough. This was a long time ago when I was young. Things are only awkward if you let them be awkward. Story 47. Go over there so you can dip whenever you feel like it. Staying over is always cool if it is allowed. Round 2 in the morning is almost always better than the night before. Say it was nice to meet you, but do not exchange information unless you actually want to see them again. Story 48. You have to read the room. Not all interactions are the same. Just because you have sex quickly after meeting does not mean it is going to be a one-night stand. I know many long-term couples who were intimate the first day they met and are still together 10 to 20 years later. They just recognized a good thing when they found it. So it is up to you. Be affectionate, friendly, respectful, and be yourself. You just shared a fun and intimate experience. At the very least, you get to keep the memories. At most, who knows? If you do not want to see them again, no problem, just be nice about it. Wish them well with a kiss and a hug. If you do want to see them again, let them know that. Hopefully, they will too. If not, no harm, no foul. Do not take it personally. You do not know them well enough to understand all of the intimate details of their personal relationships. Story 49. If they are at my place, they can stay the night. If I am at their place, I leave at first light saying I have to get to work. Story 50. I am 54, and I have never had a one-night stand. At this point, I am not likely to ever have one because I am too afraid to ask my wife's permission. I would never cheat on her, so it is unlikely to happen. Such is life. Story 51. I simply cannot believe we have allowed one-night stands to become normalized in the West. People are intimate with each other and then reject each other the next hour. Make it make sense. Story 52. I might get called out for being extra, but how I do it is stay the night, go out together in the morning for coffee or breakfast, say goodbyes, and be on our ways. Story 53. I'm a woman, but I want to be upfront going into it. This is a no-strings-attached situation. What are the sleepover rules? If no sleepovers, do you offer cleanup items or just say, "Thanks, you can go"? You need to have that talk before you dive in. I recommend buying some absorbent sex towels for easy cleanup. Remind yourself to pull blankets out of the way. Also, look into basic knowledge of sexually transmitted disease rashes. Can you tell the difference between razor bumps that are irritated or symptoms of sexually transmitted diseases or infections? Use oral protection if you perform oral sex. Herpes is rampant and highly contagious. A lot of effort goes into being promiscuous. Good luck. Story 54. I used to let them sleep overnight and sometimes for the weekend. I walk them to the bus stop and say my goodbyes. I text them to check if they got home safe and tell them that I had a wonderful time. If it is a working day the following day, I pack them some lunch. Story 55. I'm a woman, and after reading some of these, I'm glad I quit dating. Trust me, I am to blame for the hookup culture too. Some men say they stick around if they want to have sex in the morning, which I hope you ask consent for, because it took a friend recently to tell me that, although I did not mind with that guy even though he lied about being in a relationship, or if they want to see the woman again. Just be honest that it's just a hookup. Cuddling with a woman and kissing her forehead at 4 a.m. is confusing to us. I'm not saying don't do it, but women tend to release oxytocin during physical attraction. I'm sad reading some of these, realizing the guy just wanted me to leave after he got what he wanted, such as faking sickness, then ghosting, blocking, or the next day saying they aren't looking for a relationship. Like I said, I am to blame, and it took me many bad experiences to accept that this isn't how you get a boyfriend, especially since some people want a game of chasing. I had a guy tell me if a woman is too easy, then he's good. You can even watch Humans of New York, where a guy admitted that after a hookup, he stops talking. I'm not saying all men are like this, because I have met some who are super vocal. Thankfully, I am celibate now. I had one guy shake hands with me in the morning. There are many other stories, but I take accountability for being so dumb. Story 56. Immediately after I say, "You are welcome," I put on my clothes and leave without saying anything else. Story 57. I haven't had a one-night stand since I was younger, but I wasn't very good to the last one I had. We hooked up at a party, then she wanted my number. So I had her give me hers and told her I would text her in the morning, but I never did. I have hooked up with others at parties before and just moved on with life, but none of them were really interested in more like this girl apparently was, so I never felt bad like this. Story 58. It is as far from awkward as can be, unless one of the parties is unaware that it is a brief encounter, something usually established ahead of time as the minimum. Whether you allow them to stay or leave or vice versa with you there is up to those involved. Personally, I am a social person who enjoys having others around me most of the time, especially when relaxing or resting, so I usually just ask if they want to leave or stay until the time my alarm is set for. These events also tend to take place at night, so unless one of you is busier than usual, staying until early morning or the actual morning is somewhat common. Ordering a rideshare service to send them home while they are taking their post-activity break is not uncommon either. It is a personal preference and a case-by-case decision. Story 59. I thank her for a great time, then rappel out the window while the United States Secret Service is looking the other way. Story 60. I haven't sent anyone home in the middle of the night since college. I definitely did it back then, but now I like a sleepover and maybe another round in the morning followed by food. Story 61. Easy, just say, "Hey, I have to go do task," and start getting ready. Then say, "Can I give you a ride?" Or, "I've called you an Uber," etc. Story 62. This was back before texting. In my one-nighters, I stayed overnight if they wanted me to, or let them stay if they wanted at my place. If they wanted me to leave, I left. If they wanted to leave, it was okay. I said goodbye and mentioned it was casual, but if they wanted to get back together, that might be okay. Sometimes women took me up on it. Other times they did not. I left things open-ended and made it clear I did not expect anything from them and was not looking for more than casual. I did not make promises or say I would call them. Story 63. Case-by-case basis. Sometimes you need to leave as quickly as possible. Other times you go have brunch. One-night stands can often result from circumstances, such as not living in the same city or state. Story 64. If you are going to put this much effort into the question, why not ask the other person ahead of time? Personally, I have an opinion, but men are not a monolith. You are great, and I will definitely be interested if you are in the mood, but before we do it, we should probably be on the same page about afterwards. Do you want? Story 65. I think staying overnight and even fixing some breakfast is the convention. I have never had a one-night stand where I did not stay over at her place or she did not stay over at mine. Pretty standard. Story 66. If you had fun, exchange numbers. If it truly is a quick meeting, say, I had fun. Hope you did too. Then leave. Story 67. I prefer them to stay over or allow me to. I feel uncomfortable staying over if I have to get up early for work, although I don't mind them staying over in that case. I think most people find sleeping over and saying goodbye in the morning too intimate. I once had a very casual encounter with a friend. Afterward, her response was, "You need to go back home." Well, all right, I guess I'm not sleeping with you anymore. It just felt very dehumanizing. Story 68. Sometimes I wonder if asking a girl to leave is as common as it seems in popular media. I have personally let most people stay because I feel like a jerk asking people to leave. Story 69. A little from column A and a little from column B. Each one was a little different. You just go with what the situation dictates. Story 70. After you are done, you simply step out of bed and hit the button. Then the bed and any occupants disappear into a hole in the wall, from which a new bed promptly appears from the ground, ready for you to get back into. Story 71. The key to a one-night stand is to keep it fun and light. If you do not want anything more from the person, be clear about it from the start, but there is nothing wrong with having a good time beyond sex. Make them laugh and take the seriousness out of the situation. Be confident and clear about what is going on. The best way to say goodbye is to start early in the night. Make sure they like you as a person at least as much as they enjoy your company. When it is time to part ways, give them a kiss goodbye and tell them you had fun. Story 72. I'm a woman, and even if I've stayed over, I leave very early, usually before they wake up. It's not emotional, it's vanity. With a one-night stand, they only know what I look like with makeup and hair done, and God knows if we've had a great time, I do not look like that in the morning. So I leave quickly, but more often than not, I do leave a note. The last one-night stand ended up becoming a relationship. He said that going into his bathroom and seeing a big heart, some kiss imprints, and my phone number on his mirror in red lipstick made him fall in love. Story 73. Get dressed and leave immediately like there is a plague. Fast, as soon as possible. No talking, just sex and run. One night, I don't talk at all, just sex and run. Next. Story 74. It's not like I seek or declare a one-night stand in advance. It's just two people being attracted in the moment. Later is an afterthought. Be clear with your intentions if it comes up, but when being free and in the moment, that's not always clear. You do your thing, say you have to get up early and leave, or stay the night and leave in the morning, genuinely like having work or plans the next day. Usually, you exchange some information like a phone number or social media contact. Then you both move on with life. If it becomes a one-night stand, it's usually due to lack of effort from one or both parties involved. Or maybe the chemistry just wasn't there, but you went along to see what might happen. Sometimes you have follow-up meetings and a fling can happen. There are no strict rules. For me, when it became a one-night stand, it is usually in retrospect, not intention. For the record, as I have gotten older, sleeping with someone I just met has become less appealing, and I don't do it very often. Connection and vulnerability are more important now, and that takes time. Story 75. That kind of situation is usually only as awkward as you make it. In the moment, it becomes clear whether you will spend the entire night together or if it is better to both leave. Usually, if it goes really well and you both like each other, you exchange contact information after the night and it becomes something more over time. However, there is nothing wrong with having a one-night stand and then going separate ways. It really depends on the chemistry. Try to be respectful and patient, but if the person will not leave, it can become weird and uncomfortable. Be polite and calm when saying goodbye. Do not overstay or try to stay longer than the other person clearly wants. Story 76. If this is just a casual relationship, keep it at that. Leave after the encounter. If it's too late, wake up early and leave. Do not stay for breakfast as some may suggest. This is casual sex only. Staying after breakfast and spending the entire night is excessive for something that offers no real substance beyond pleasure. Do not play this game with men. Get your satisfaction and leave. Story 77. Not awkward at all. Sleep after the deed, wake up in the morning, do it again, shower, make breakfast, have small talk, go to work or whatever you need to do, blow her a kiss and smile the biggest smile. Story 78. I asked my boyfriend if he had ever had sex with someone and not known their name, and he said, God, no. Why wouldn't I know their name? I said, because sometimes it doesn't matter. I thought he was going to die laughing. For the record, I never spend the night unless I have to, like if I don't have my car. But I can never sleep and can't wait to get out of there in the morning. If he spends the night with me, I'm so annoyed and can't wait for him to leave. I'll wake up at 5 a.m. and start getting ready for work on my day off just to get him out of here. Story 79. Depends on the vibe. 9 out of 10 times I am out of there that night, but I will provide aftercare and enjoy conversation and having some kind of connection. That 1 out of 10 time I do not leave is because I have already envisioned my entire future and our family upon first meeting. Story 80. I always ask to have breakfast or a late-night dinner. Sometimes it is the best chance to turn one night into friends with benefits. I also always offer to let them stay the night. There is no point in kicking someone out at 3 a.m. Story 81. Leave early in the morning. Ask her for her phone number. Give a playful thank you. Send another good night text. Then be gone. Story 82. You think about it too much, but the answer is situational. For example, if you bring home a college woman in her small apartment, you will leave as soon as possible. If you bring home an older woman who is cooking a meal and wants to have a glass of wine in the hot tub afterward, you will stay and relax for a while. Story 83. I mean, after the things I have done with them, nothing else has been awkward. But it is not like you finish and then complete silence, right? At least you have to clean yourself, maybe take a shower, drink some water, and so on. What I am saying is there is a lot of room to keep interacting like a normal human being with the other person. Hopefully you like the person also, so you are probably going to want to keep talking to them, getting to know them, or at least know how they felt during the experience. Sure, if it was not that great and there was not much chemistry, then you will probably just pick up your clothes and prepare to leave. But even then, some polite words like, it was nice, thanks for having me, let's keep in touch maybe, are not particularly awkward. Story 84. Generally, the hookups where I stayed overnight tend to be awkward when leaving in the morning. I don't know if post-nut clarity hits harder in the morning. I have refused several breakfast offers. Story 85. It has been many years since my last one-night stand, but the general rule is that staying the night is up to her. If we are having a one-night stand, this is not her first time. She knows the routine, and the main thing is making her feel safe. If she wants to stay the night, she is welcome to, but I do not force the point. Story 86. I always stayed overnight for some morning intimacy before work. Goodbyes? Either morning intimacy or oral sex. Then it's goodbye. Story 87. She wanted some before leaving town. I gave her some before she left. Numbers exchanged. See you whenever. Goodbye. Story 88. My main experiences with one-night stands involved either me staying over or them staying over and leaving in the morning, usually after having breakfast. For me, I usually got to know the person I was sleeping with before hooking up, so we were comfortable enough around each other to avoid feeling awkward afterward. Story 89. The only one-night stand I had turned into a regular occurrence, which led to a drunken knock on my door. I had to take care of her that night. I didn't like it and probably should have set clearer boundaries, but I made sure she was okay for the night and didn't respond to her after she left. I still think about her from time to time, but her personal life was complicated. Story 90. I don't generally like them because the risks outweigh the rewards, but if we connected all night and things were genuine, I will consider it. However, I have a strong rule that even when drunk, I follow. I will never perform oral sex on a woman I am not exclusive with. Story 91. Go to the bathroom, take a difficult bowel movement, then try to get back in bed. She will kick you out. This works every time. If for some reason it does not, just wait until she is asleep, then sneak out into the night quietly. Story 92. The last time I had a one-night stand, the sex was really good. She spent the night, we had breakfast, and she hung out a bit before leaving. We hooked up again a few days later and then again a few days after that. We have been together for 17 years and married for almost 11. She asked me at one point if I had intended to turn things into a relationship. I told her the truth. I was at a happy point in my life where I was content being single and having fun. I figured it would be a 1 or 2 time thing. She likes to remind me that she is just a one-night stand every now and then. Story 93. If you are honest with them upfront about your intentions, then it should be a happy and mutual goodbye. Nothing weird. Story 94. It is not like the movies. I suggest that if either I or the woman is sober, you go home when doing one-night stands. Staying over is more reserved for friends with benefits or casual relationships. Let's keep it real. We were both just attracted, found each other appealing, and were intimate. We probably have nothing in common, so after a little small talk, I leave or she leaves. Story 95. Keep it light, stay playful, do not make it a big deal. Talk about how you want to handle who stays where and for how long. If you are both on the same page going into it, there is not much to worry about. Just be a good human and read the room. You will be fine. Story 96. Once clear thinking sets in, set a mental timer for an hour and listen to their nonsense before telling them you have to wake up early in the morning and ask them to leave. They respond well to that. Story 97. Start complaining about how early your next day is. As soon as they leave, unmatch and block. Story 98. Most of the time, I try to leave early in the morning and go home to sleep in my own bed, but they insist on cuddling and I'm kind of stuck sometimes. God forbid the dog is asleep on us too. If it's a one-night stand, I end up doing the kiss goodbye. I'm pretty affectionate even if I don't date, as long as we had fun. Story 99. I say thank you with a big smile and put on my clothes. They usually want me to leave at that point, so I do. Story 100. I throw her out the window with a bedsheet parachute. Then I remember I am at her place, put on my swimwear, and with a rose in my mouth, dash downstairs and catch her. I speak some unintelligible French phrases and carry her back upstairs for round 2. Then I leave with her admiring my behind. The only time this did not work was with a lady who lived in a bungalow. She is fine, but her gardener now works in a bell tower in Notre Dame. Story 101. I mostly had one-night stands with different people, always in hotels because I met them while traveling. Depending on the type of encounter, they would stay for their purpose, or I would have sex with them and ask them to leave when I was done. But it was all part of the experience and fun. I also had intimate encounters with some women I talked to for a while. They stayed over for multiple sessions throughout the night and left in the morning. Story 102. As awkward as possible, I want them to have had a great night but think it was a hormone-induced coma. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.